Welcome to the next edition of RigVeda analysis. Um, Today we will talk about the tribe of Dasa. Uh, Typically, everybody translates Dasa as slaves, which is mostly a new interpretation or meaning. In the old Sanskrit, as in Panini Ashtadhyayi, Dasa does not mean slaves. And we will go through more of this analysis, how RigVeda talks about dasas. RigVeda is written by or sung by Aryas. And obviously dasas were their enemies, so there is not much information about dasas in RigVeda. There are hints of the pejorative terms used by Aryas for dasas and dasyus in RigVeda. We will analyze that a little bit and try to see if we can understand anything about dasas. Today, most of the scholars assume that dasas are impious, barbaric, evil, pre-Vedic non-Aryans, and Arya are obviously pious and godly. Because this RigVeda is written by Aryas, obviously they will call themselves good. And RigVeda says dasas are enemies, adversaries, who don't perform Vedic sacrifices. They are robbers, bandits, raiders who stole cattle. And when they don't understand what the Richa or Rik is saying, they will translate Dasa as demons or evil beings. So let us look at the meaning of Dasa as I am interpreting it. This Richa is sung by Indra Vaikuntha. As the name suggests, his name Indra. He thinks himself as Indra when he chants this Richa. And he talks as Indra. He believes he is Indra while he is chanting this Richa. So it's interesting. There are different ways, different Richas are sung in RigVeda. So this is one way in which we'll see more. So as usual, we won't go through the whole translation of the Richa. Much of the translation we find in other places is not very, in my view at least, it's not very accurate. We'll focus only on the term Dasa. Here, this Richa is talking about Indra. As Indra, this Rishi is saying that he travels around the sun, bringing light to us. And he is then saying the people who don't offer soma libations and for cleaning of the person, the soma libations are supposed to clean a person. They don't do that. So because they don't do this, pull aside and kill these dasas efficiently. This is what this Richa is talking about. So Aryas were against dasas and they wanted to kill dasas for that. And kill them efficiently. Now, if we go to Panini Ashtadhyayi Dhatu Rupa, the term dasa, das and dash as verbs are translated as dana, to give or donate. So we will look at this meaning of dasas and dasyus as we go through the next few slides, that it's about giving. And we will see some. Actually, there's a lot of information in RigVeda about the mother goddess Danu. We will go through that in a separate presentation, but in this presentation, we will just refer to the fact that Danu, the word, is also etymologically related to this verb da, which means give. So dasas were some sort of givers, or they believed in giving. Whether God gives them or they give somebody, we are not sure. It's not clear in RigVeda. So let's look at these people called dasyus. We will see more in the next slide, but in this slide, let's just introduce the idea of dasyus. Who are dasyus according to Arya? Arya, again, this is Vimada Indra Prajapati. Most probably he is related to Indra. We saw in the previous slide, the Rishi Indra. So he is saying Thus you who don't practice religious rites towards Indra, ignorant non-humans following others' rites, kill these dasas through this deception. This word deception, at least I interpret this as magic. I think godly magic. That is, but the literal translation of the word dambhaya is deception. And we look at one more meaning of dasha, dash or dasu, das. They call it dashu here. Grammatical form of that is no longer used. It's an old form of RigVeda. Anyway, that's an aside. So here they are talking about doing a soma sacrifice, and they call that sacrifice dasha, dash. So Panini again in his Ashtadhyayi, he gives the meaning of das or dash as worshipper or a yagna, some sort of a yagna. So he says this is a way of honoring or serving a god, right? Or giving sacrifices to God. This is okay. In this slide, we will look at thus use more, and it's interesting that you can relate them to some people in Iran. So we will go through that in a second. So this richa is talking about Indra killing the wealthy Dashyus. Focus on the word wealthy. That means they have money. And Indra comes with the clouds moving as one, and he makes the Sanakas travel to their death, killing them essentially. And anyway, rest of it is talking about these people don't they neglect sacrifices to Indra. Now let's focus on these words a little more. So these are rich Dasyus. If you go to Iranian Khorda Avesta 27104, they talk about Sanakas of Rangha, and these guys are also considered to be rich based on other Avestan documents. We will go through that in a different presentation later. But the main thing is thus you were considered wealthy, and they were some sort of friends of Dasas, and they are called Sanakas. Typically Sanaka is translated as old or ancient. For example, the word Sanatana is translated or it's interpreted as ancient, some sort of a worship, Tanu. The word Tanu is interesting because in later times, there is a religion called Tangerism in South China, north of India, which could be related to this Tanu. We don't know that. We need more analysis of that. But I am trying to interpret this word Sanaka or Sanatana with the words sun and shan given by Panini in his Ashtadhyayi, which means to give again. So if you see the word Sanakas, they believe in some sort of giving again. And they are the tribe of Danu, as we will see in different presentations in future, right? So we will look at okay. So essentially, Dasa and Dash, they relate to some sort of a religion, some sort of a way of making sacrifices. And second thing, they are called Sanakas because they believe in this giving thing, whatever that giving is, right? So this is the last slide. This presentation has become longer than I wanted, but the topic is a little too complicated. This Richa is sung by Dirghatamas Auchatya. He is son of Uchatya. Okay. So here, this is like very mistranslated Richa in RigVeda. I won't go into that translation. I will give my own translation. So let us start with the name Dirghatamas. Dirghatamas means who has been in darkness for a long time. I am interpreting Dirghatamas to mean a person who was doing sacrifices to, he was doing Dasa worship, whatever that kind of worship is. It's not clearly explained in RigVeda, but it's not an Aryan way, it's a different way. We'll see hints of this a little bit. So Dirghatamas, according to this, if you translate this richa properly, in my view, he was flowing away in waters. He calls the mother best of mothers. The river he calls as best of mothers. Right? He was swallowed by it. Right? And he puts the word dasa here. Right? So I interpret this as he was getting flown away or drowned in the currents of dasa worship. Right? And then he awoke and he moved to Arya ways of doing it. That's why he calls himself Dirghatamas. He was, so it's a long darkness when he was worshipping dasas, dasa gods. And he says Traitana is also a dasa. He seems to have moved to Aryan ways. And we have seen in a previous presentation where we talk about the Pasupati seal being Tvasta or Visvarupa, that Trita was the person who killed Visvarupa on encouragement from Indra. So Trita also seems to have moved from Dasa worship towards Arya worship. We will give more presentations in future explaining this idea of dasas moving to Arya worship in future. We will give many examples from RigVeda. Okay, and what is this dasa way of worship? We get a hint here. Here, if this richa is properly translated, he kills a yue. I don't know how to say that. It's like a goat. It's a type of a goat. He kills a goat and he eats it in the sacred altar. So looks like this dasa is sacrificing an animal, goat, and eating it in the sacred altar before their gods. And Dirghatamas seems to find it not very bad, odd or cruel or anything. He just mentions it, and he doesn't say it's a wrong thing. So this looks like a way of worshipping gods. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Please look at the papers, the references to papers in the description. You can read more details there. Thank you very much. Bye.